Right, we've got to start with it. Arsenal 0, Newcastle United 2. At half-time in the tie, it's very much in Newcastle's favour. Pete Donaldson!
It was good, wasn't it? Newcastle are sort of achieving, and Alexander Isak are achieving Jamie Vardy levels of streak at the moment. I think this might be one of the best runs in the entire club's history, which is astonishing.
And with Les Ferdinand pitch side as well.
Les Ferdinand and Ian Wright pitch
How
side,
about that?
just having a bit of that.
Yeah.
Lee Dixon defending his behaviour at David Ginola.
I was more talking about former Newcastle players and legends of the club. So you don't need to mention Wright and Dixon.
Oh, I mean, Newcastle United will mention the entertainers every 5 minutes on the social media account.
Didn't last long, did it?
I wasn't going
My
there.
follow-up question to that was, how are you coping with it? He's already told us. Lamenting the 90s.
Yeah.
Good stuff, man. I enjoyed that immensely.
I bet you bloody did.
Yeah, I bet you
70%
did.
possession on Arsenal's side, and we still bloody won it. Brilliant.
Although now, though, they do have a good lead to throw away, of course.
Don't you start.
But, Isak scored his 14th goal in 15 games, and Anthony Gordon among the goals as well. Did a little Thierry Henry celebration.
I did, yeah.
Did you enjoy that, Jim? Did that remind you of glory days gone by?
I didn't actually realise he was doing that at the time because I was too busy going,
A few people have done that in the past. I think Ollie Watkins did it last season against Arsenal at the Emirates. So it's not unknown that players rock up and take the mick and then go home again. For me...
Jesse Lingard did a moonwalk. So.
True.
The Murphy-Isak connection is just getting richer and richer. What is going on with those two? They just cannot stop passing to each other and scoring.
I am going to give you and producer Charlie credit for this, because I remember coming into the start of this season and you two absolute reprobates were watching pre-season games at Newcastle. And one of the things you pointed out was like, you know what, Jacob Murphy looks a little bit sharper, he looks a little bit more clinical. And I think it's played out because for me, I'm someone who's been, I wouldn't say critical of him, I've just not really rated Jacob Murphy, but he's been so good this season.
Yeah, he's a lot more direct than a lot of the footballers in the league, I think. And I've come up with some tag team names: the Ice and Murph connection, Murph and Turf,
I like that.
the Murphy Isaac conundrum, the Nordic. Something to do with the Nordic Nightmare and his friend Jacob. I don't know. Just something there that we can work on. Yeah. So we need a tag team name for Murphy and Isaac.
Where is Jacob Murphy from? He's from Wembley.
From Wembley.
So
he's a twin. There's something in that.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, actually, he's a one-man tag team in many ways.
Indeed.
Two-man tag team.
He was born in a tag team.
He's born in a tag team, so he just knows the rules for crying out loud.
Exactly.
But I'm just loving those two. Just are having a lovely time.
Yeah,
and
Isak was brilliant yesterday.
But it was brilliant, and I think the Arsenal defenders, they isolated it a few times on the television. The way they just couldn't seem to sort of deal with his decision making in the final third. He's just arriving at the best time all of the time, and the offside was just beaten every time. It was
but it's been said about Isak and number of times, he's got the lot really, hasn't he? And that trickiness that he also brings that not every centre forward does. Great dribbler of the ball as well. I mean, you saw that for Gordon's goal. Obviously, his shot was parried, but the fact is he's in the box jinking around all the defenders around him. It's that kind of thing that actually really bloody Arsenal could do with.
Yeah, he drifted wide quite a lot yesterday as well, so he was causing problems out there. But very much so. Yeah, I mean, I think the glaring need for a striker is very obvious at this point. It's almost the sort of the new defensive midfielder within the fan base kind of thing. Yes. And that was a perfect example of exactly what he's missing. But that said, I mean, are there many strikers in the world as good as Isak right now?
No,
they're at a premium. They don't grow on trees, do they? So it's a very, very difficult hole to fill.
Certainly at the start of the season, he wasn't firing on all cylinders, and you sort of think, well,
none of them were.
None of them were, I suppose. But like, he is you'd probably say he's a streaky player, but all strikers are streaky players. That's
I think
very definition of it.
With Isak as well, there's a sense that the quality is very, very obviously there, and it's only going to be a matter of time before, as you say, he pulls into that. I think, well, is he 24, 25? There's a sense that we haven't seen the best of him yet, and we are starting to see the best of him there. But it was an interesting game in that it was really one about chances, wasn't it? Newcastle had 2 chances that they absolutely should have scored, and they did. Arsenal had 2 chances they absolutely should have scored, and they fluffed their lines on both occasions, with Martinelli in the first half and Havertz in the second. And there is just a sort of growing sluggishness about their play.
There is,
which I think for the second goal in particular, they just didn't look interested in.
Timber should have got to that. I think.
I don't know that they could have done much about the second.
Really?
I think it was really quick feet, and if anything, maybe Raya doesn't need to save it, but he doesn't know that he doesn't need to save it.
I think Timber hesitates for a second after Raya parries it, and that gives Gordon the moment to get in, which I know we're talking about split seconds here.
Yeah.
The first goal as well. So Isak gives Odegaard a bit of a push, and Odegaard looked every inch the new dad who's just getting over a bad illness, because he just sort of stops and doesn't really do anything, and that creates the space that Isak uses to
He's
score.
probably worried about stepping on Lego. Do you not think that that's kind of indicative of what he's been like when he's come back? Really,
Yeah.
It's been a changing him. But
It's been particularly bad recently because he's obviously getting over an illness. But aside from that, he's not yet hit the heights of previous seasons. Firstly, from coming back from the injury, but generally, just in general, he's not been at the heights. Now, I mentioned it on the show on Monday. Him, Rice, Havertz, Saliba to a point as well. But a few others haven't quite been at the level of last season.
I thought Rice was the only player who looked composed
Rice was excellent yesterday,
kind of focused. Nobody else seemed to be.
Yeah, he was driving forward and trying to make things happen, but it obviously just wasn't happening because Newcastle defended their box so well, just made it absolutely impenetrable when that second goal went in.
Great game management from Newcastle.
Yeah, really good. And,
But they've got that in them. They've got that last gasp kind of like. And if your plan B is not try and break them down even harder, it's just shall we try some dead balls, lads? You're not going to get through Newcastle because they've got some big lads at the back.
You say that. I mean, I thought Jim, you mentioned the two chances there from open play. I thought both those headers should have gone in. The
the
corners.
header
It was Timber the first one and Saliba the second one.
Got right under them. Yeah.
I mean, I think if you're, rightly so, Arsenal are credited for being quite cutthroat from set pieces. So those chances, you have to take them.
With those ones, though, I think if you're under the ball, it's nigh on impossible to direct it.
But that's the fault of the player, isn't it? Like there was, there's a misjudgment there because the onus is on to hang in the air and head it down, and they just mistime their jumps. Maybe partly out of desperation, but I was gonna put it to you, Jim, because the Havertz chance was so bad.
Funny.
That miss,
Funny.
definitely funny,
very funny.
Yeah. If I was talking to you,
Header with his shoulder.
Yeah, yes, and obviously the thing there was the on Tuesday night was a comparison between Isak and Havertz, not least because Arsenal were previously linked with Isak before he went to Newcastle from Sociedad. I think that's a bit unfair on Havertz because he's basically moonlighting as a striker when he
he's a 9.5, isn't he, Havertz?
Yeah. The thing I was going to ask you though is, and I suppose
would you throw him in a big cauldron?
Would you?
Not quite at that point.
Would you melt him down for glue?
Yeah, would you 3D print a striker? Would you 3D print a striker?
If I could, I would, and I would say this, Pete. It's rare, but there's no Arsenal player I'd melt for glue at the moment.
Okay, that's fair.
To turn up for the books.
Are you personally? Would you be in favour of Arsenal basically doing what Sir Alex Ferguson did in his last season when he signed Van Persie and just kind of throwing caution to the wind and also just get a striker?
Yeah,
it doesn't matter about age profile.
Get in Chris Wood.
Well, no,
Chris Wood, come on.
But that is the most. I would say in recent times that's probably the most obvious example of a team just basically going against their usual whims and thinking, you know what, we just want someone now.
So I on Monday I was flowing with praise for
Jesus.
Always
Jesus' resurrection.
For Liam Delap, and I said, yes. Oh man, United should sort of go in for him. Bloody Arsenal should come the summer. Do you know what I mean? That's the kind of strike that gives them something different.
To be honest, I don't think it necessarily is kind of going against the grain so much because it's such an obvious point that needs to be addressed. I mean, Arsenal have only signed 6 attacking players under Arteta. That includes Marquinhos, who, if you're not an Arsenal head, is a Brazilian young player who's back on loan in Brazil. Sterling and Willian. So it's
Arteta loves the stodge in the middle, doesn't he? He's a Mourinho man.
It's all about kind of making them more secure. But this final piece of the puzzle, you might call it, even though every window seems to have had a final piece in the puzzle in it, is so important. I think they're going to have to spend £100 million plus on a player in the summer, but they should have the money for that this summer.
Yeah. So sorry, I should have fleshed out.
Sorry, what was the actual question?
What I meant against the grain, I meant more someone like a Victor Osimhen type for now.
Oh yeah. Do you mean in this window right now?
Yeah.
I don't think that sort of player would be available. If they are, then absolutely they should.
Well, Victor Osimhen is available. Yeah.
You think he is?
Well, it sounds like he is, given all the reports linking him with various different clubs and also different deal. Just the other, in the last 24 hours, he's been linked with Manchester United as part of a part exchange with Rashford.
Well, Arsenal will have their targets.
Yeah.
They'll have their list. And I do think if the money is there and anyone's available now, go for it. I suspect that they would already be doing that if that was the case, though.
But we were just talking about Isak, and again, that goal comes from him being a bit tricky, a little bit rugged,
really
a little
smart
bit.
forward play.
Is all that, and I think
Making his
Arsenal,
own space. Right?
Yeah, Arsenal they seem to be very much a sort of system-based side, which everyone go, well, everyone's a system-based side. Fine, but you do need that individual quality. Again, you look at Guardiola's Man City when they're in not this season, but the previous ones. If they need something, Kevin De Bruyne just whacks one in from 25 yards. You need that individual quality and moments as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that Arsenal, despite Odegaard and Saka and one or two others, they do lack that.
Well, last season they scored more goals than they've ever scored in a Premier League season. So that was obviously always going to be very, very difficult to overtake. But it now seems kind of absurd that they've barely added to the forward line because that was never going to be sustainable. But it's obviously easy to be wise after the fact.
It's been a very heavy sort of period for I think a lot of teams and stuff. And I mean, Arsenal will probably say that injuries and playing on Saturday was an issue. But Newcastle had that as well. We had one out as well.
But I just Bruno Guimaraes and Fabian Schär missing as well.
I just think with Arsenal, to me, this game it was like. I don't need to be harsh because Arteta's brought them to, incredible levels.
And Newcastle are the busiest team you will meet in January.
Newcastle are one of the form teams in England for crying out loud. So let's not be silly. Arsenal had 23 shots and 70% possession. On another day, they don't lose that game, but the fact is they did. And I just feel sometimes with Arsenal, they get themselves into a really good position against Bayern in the Champions League last time, and that was another example. They get themselves into these good positions, and then spurs it up a bit. Do you know what I mean? To me, it comes a bit
How
predictable.
dare you?
Yeah, well, I thought I'd get a rise out of you.
How dare you?
But obviously, I'm being a bit cheeky there, but that's where just to have that little extra something, because again, after last season, so much football is played and such a monumental effort. And nothing in terms of trophy. It doesn't mean I'm not one of these people who think it's a failure. It's not failure. Yeah. You don't just do it on silverware. But silverware is the ultimate personification of success, of course. And with Arsenal,
I thought it was living well.
No,
that's revenge.
Sorry,
different podcast, mate. So I think with Arsenal, if again they go another season without winning a trophy, then at some point you want that cathartic release of that success and that joy and so on.
That milestone of what we're working towards is coming.
Exactly. And if you look at this now, they've got a mountain to climb now in the League Cup. FA Cup, the third round hasn't been played, and they've got a tricky tie there. You can't suddenly go, well, we'll have full tilt on that. Champions League.
They're not going to win that.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like, I look at that, and then, of course, the Premier League, and you go, was this their best chance of a trophy? Now, they're still in it. They're still alive, but only just.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a big ask there, isn't it? It's very, very difficult to go to St James's Park and win by 3 goals. It's very, very unlikely.
Well, only once as a side in the semi-finals of the League Cup progressed to the final, having lost the first leg by 2 or more goals. It was Aston Villa against Tranmere Rovers in 1993-94.
It just makes you wonder what Aston Villa were doing, doesn't it? It's not,
and why
it's not one that gives you hope.
Why Tranmere just rolled over.
Well, it was Alexander Arnold's Tranmere Rovers, wasn't it?
Is that right?
Yeah.
My goodness.
I can't afford another Wembley ticket.
No,
There's who your dog is now.
It's, like people do the road to the FA Cup. That's how I got the road to a League Cup final. I can't afford that again. It killed me last time.
I'm sure you'll find a way.
During tax bill January.
There are other. Well, good point actually. There are other ways to buy tickets.
What? Smash the doors down.
Buy tickets.
Buy tickets.
Yeah, it's Wembley, isn't it? Just
walk
jump in.
Yeah, good, actually.
Could I just get like security pass for the day?
You got print.
Do
one
we
of
have
those.
any?
If there's anyone I know who could print one of those.
Do we have any like bits of like backstage paraphernalia from the live show that you could use for?
Yeah, exactly.
The League Cup final.
Yeah. I think with that famous face, I think it will either go in favour or
didn't work last time.
You could put that on.
Don't do the giveaway in the live show.
What is? Oh, right.
Why is that
That's
a
all
spoiler?
I see him every night in the cabin. He looks at me.
Did you? Smooching. With that famous face, I don't know whether it goes in your favour or against you, because people might go, hang on, that's Pete Donaldson. We know.
Do you play for Arsenal?
No, he's not got a ticket. They pull you out and they chuck you out the door, and there's like 8 other lookalikes of yours looking around going,
are you the guy with the dead body in his bed?
If you do just turn up with a Fabio Vieira shirt to
Well, you're not
Actually, you know
playing.
what? Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. You're out.
Yeah.
You're already out. You're already out.
Oh dear. Well, I think maybe one of the differences between the two, between the sides, was Newcastle adapted to the football better than Arsenal, because Arteta did talk about the tricky football, the different football they use in the Carabao Cup, because apparently they use the Puma Orbiter 1, while the Premier League uses the Nike Flight.
Do you get
football.
Do you get a bit of time to sort of acclimatise to the Jubalanis?
The training in the week would be with the same balls.
With the same balls, right? Okay.
You know what? Last night, Arsenal overhit so many passes and so many crosses. I was like, what is happening here?
Arteta did say he was
Rhea looked very shaky with his passing.
Arteta said after the game, he said, let's not take the piss here if you're going to be tricky with your footballs.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's...
honestly, there was so many points where there was a player crossing it. It was like, you've held down circle for a long time there. Why have you shot this?
Yeah.
I've genuinely long had a belief that the mitre balls that they used to use for the League Cup moved differently, and I wondered if it was just because of the design on it.
I mean, they must do to a certain extent. And
full of Carabao?
And these footballers are. Hey, there's a Carabao beer. Did you notice on the horns?
Yeah.
Shut up.
What's that about? Does that taste like Carabao? Is it just normal beer with, I don't know, what are they putting it in insulin? I don't know.
You're the guy...
Insulin.
Let's be honest, you're the guy who's going to try it out.
I know, I really want some Carabao beer. I've only had a Monster this morning, I feel like rubbish.
Because of that, or did you... do you know what? I nearly said, did you take the Monster to try it?
I was drinking. The thing about drinking like a tall can coming out of a car, I drove down the station. It was very slippy, and I sort of dropped the can of Carabao, and it just looks like I'm drinking. You know what I mean? It just looks like falling out of a car with a big long can.
I think everyone had already joined those dots.
I thought you had, like one of those old Red Bull cars with the cans on the top.
Yes, the mini ones.
But then it's like, the straws from the hat that you'd wear into your mouth.
Straight through the window.
Yeah.
I'm aware you have access to a 3D printer. Is this something we can see in your future? Now you've
build my own little
massive
century Monster energy drink. Yeah,
I think that's something for Ramble Uncut, quite frankly.
Well,
patreon.com/Football Ramble.
Martin Dubravka's off. It looks like.
Oh,
Marcus.
yes, I was going to ask you about this. He looked emotional after the game. It was pleasing to win a cup tie. But,
I think when the referee was threatening with a yellow card, I imagine he couldn't give a flying fuck. Sorry, mate, I'm off.
Yeah, is he off to Saudi? I mean, he obviously didn't play in the League Cup final last time, although... Did he get a winner's match? Do you remember that odd scenario?
Yeah, because he'd played for Manchester United. I was sort of in the same bit of the ground because I was on a godly amount of money on the ticket. With him, yeah. He was with his partner in the part of the ground that I was.
Oh right.
His romantic partner or his tag team partner?
God knows. I mean, yeah. I don't know whether it was they were married or whatever.
I don't know.
But it's really sad. He's been such a long.
Well, he doesn't have to go.
It's true. It's true. 35-year-old Slovakian footballer Martin Dubravka does not have to go to Saudi. You're quite right, but it's sad to see him go because he's been quite the servant.
Yes. Do you reckon anyone at the club encouraged him to go?
I reckon there was internal chats. Okay. I reckon they used some kind of internal messaging system, probably.
Maybe it's so cold at the moment. He's like, I'll stop this. I need to stop this. There is an option though for you, Martin. So we think that's where he might be off soon. But I assume he'll attend the final if indeed Newcastle do progress.
Well, it depends on what the fixtures are. Where the fixtures lay, I suppose.
Come on, get that in the contract.
Get that in the contract.
Crying out loud. Well, Arsenal are reportedly interested in signing Matheus Cunha. Despite the fact he's set to sign a new contract with Wolves. Is that the type of player that Arsenal could do with Jim? Because, again, a little bit rugged. He's got a lovely bit of quality, as we know.
Yeah, I don't know if this interest is real, actually. I wonder if it might have been one of those things that comes out to drum up a contract offer from his existing club, because the reporting of the interest and then the reporting of the new contract came within a day of each other. Yeah. But kind of hypothetically, to answer that question, I think Cunha's a really good player and I really like him a lot. His output has increased massively, and if you can't find a player who's gonna who's regularly scoring like 25 plus goals a season because there are so few of them, you need to get someone who's on the cusp of becoming that, and you need to time it really, really well. I suppose you could argue, because Cunha's got 10 goals this season and he's never really been that prolific before. I think he's generally played as an attacking midfielder, but he's playing more as a striker now, which might explain that. There is an argument that he is that sort of player, but I don't know if he's the profile of player that Arsenal need. He's a really direct runner. I don't know if he's got that all-round game that they need at the moment. I think if Arsenal were to sign him, I like him a lot. I would be excited about it, but I would think are you maybe going to bring someone else in the summer as well? Is it kind of where I kind of sit on that?
If
it's a good signing, not a great signing.
I think that's
it's
fair.
a hint of negligee through a window.
If
You said you'd be slightly excited.
He's basically, I kind of think of him as a bit of a Wario Gabriel Jesus.
yes,
yeah.
I like that.
They've had so much fun with their Brazilian strikers, so let's ruin another one.
so much fun.
So much
Fun.
Some fun.
If
A modicum of fun.
If it meant if Cunha came to Arsenal that you had to give him your glasses, would you?
I've got spares.
Have
if,
you?
if it's that rather than a transfer
Right.
fee, I think I could take the hit.
Got spare glasses. Daddy Warbucks over there.
It could become a thing, couldn't it? With like people, like, give me your shirt or something like that. People down the front wearing
Give me your
glasses. Go on,
glasses.
take my glasses off my shirt. And they get the picture. They
Take
get a
my
little
glasses,
video.
yeah.
That's his little move. Well, do you know he's obviously currently serving a 2-match ban for stealing the Ipswich security guard's glasses, and it's been revealed that the ban was reduced from initial 3-match ban, and he's fined, which was 120 grand that they said straight away. That was reduced to 80. It's been reduced to 40. He's obviously a good negotiator, but it also he was very, very remorseful and so on. So 2-match ban, 40 grand.
Yeah, but I mean, he's offered to buy the security guard new glasses.
That was a part of the remorse.
Part of the remorse side of things.
Yes.
I would say that is he going to go for the 400 quid Specsavers jobs, or is he going to go for the 60 quid NHS kind of?
Yeah, and also, does he get to choose the glasses? Are they big Timmy Mallet monstrosity?
Oakley's wraparounds. Brilliant.
I think
Also-
the security guard, if he was asked.
Did he break the glasses? Because why does he need to buy new glasses?
Why didn't he keep hold? Did he not just keep hold of them?
Yeah, does he still have
crunch
them?
Yeah.
Did he wear them to the to his disciplinary hearing?
Well, this is it. I didn't take them off when he sees the amount of money he has to spend. What?
Did he whip them up and down? Or what?
Hey guys, please don't sanction me.
Not an audio feature.
Not an audio feature.
But this is on YouTube.
It's on YouTube,
Yeah.
guys.
So hi to our YouTube watchers. Hello,
Yeah.
Internet. That was one
Watchers.
for you.
Timmy Mallet on the algorithm now.
Like and
That's on
subscribe,
you.
please.
What's Timmy Mallet doing, Peter? He's a
The last time I heard, he rescued a woman from Hartlepool Marina.
What?
She fell in the water, and he happened to be.
How do you have an answer for that?
He happened to be
How do you have an answer for
from
what has Timmy
Hartlepool.
Mallet been up to?
If you're from Hartlepool, you know that Timmy Mallet saved a drowning woman from Hartlepool Marina.
That's incredible.
It was incredible, and then he
He's an
smacked her over the head with a hammer.
Yeah. Why was she in the water in the first place?
He was a kids' TV presenter. The hammer was foam. That's not
Yeah.
as dark as it sounds.
I'll
For
be-
anyone going, what are they talking about?
But Jim, isn't it nice to
Hiding in plain sight.
right,
He's
anyway.
a very intense individual. I've met him a few times. He's very intense.
Was that when you were on his show, Mallet's Mallet? And he was answering. That's just the game.
Oh yeah, sorry. He was on. He was very on.
That he hit me with a hammer. Coming up after this, will the Hammers sack Julen Lopetegui? Yes.
Hutchinson, his first touch isn't great, but he's still going. And it is another penalty for Sligo Rovers. He did catch him, I think, Declan. And an opportunity for Sligo Rovers to take the lead.
Outside the shagging box.
Right then, gentlemen, West Ham are reportedly considering whether to sack Julen Lopetegui. Some people are saying it's going to happen today. Well, at the time of recording, there's nothing going on. It's all quiet on the West Ham front. I'm having a look now. So that's the situation. Lopetegui, it does seem like he is about to get the hammer, and it was thought that he would be sacked, of course, a little while ago, back in December when they played Wolves. Well, they won that game, and then they went on a 4-match unbeaten run. But then losing 5-0 to Liverpool, then 4-1 to Manchester City in the last 2 matches, I think people at the club have had enough. Lopetegui reportedly cancelled a West Ham bonding meal, which is sad to hear.
That's what they need. Surely that's exactly the thing you should be encouraging.
Yeah.
It's like you guys have never met each other.
Notable man manager.
Yeah.
Julen Lopetegui. Everyone's complaining about how poor he is in that side of things, and he usually will not have a bonding meal for crying out loud, which sounds like something that you would need for Sterident teeth tablets. So it would glue your palate to your teeth.
Take your teeth out.
We
No
need a
dentures
We
today.
need a bonding meeting.
We need a bonding agent.
It was like a sort of celebratory thing. They finally bonded. Everyone goes and just eats whatever they want.
Yeah. They just need to be friends.
It's very, very different from this, isn't it? I think I feel for Lopetegui, obviously, and I understand that West Ham's frustrations with him, because it's just not working, is it? And it's, the promise was that he was going to come in and the football would be more interesting, and it hasn't been. But I think Tim Steidten, the director of football there, looks increasingly ridiculous, because he was in a situation where David Moyes asked him to stop coming to training, to the training ground, because he was essentially actively seeking for his replacement, like in the same physical space that he was in, which is obviously very, very unhelpful. Everyone knew that Moyes was going to move on. We've spoken about why that was probably the right thing for all parties. Steidten pushed really hard for Lopetegui, by all accounts, and now he's being asked to stay away from the training ground again, which makes me think, what's he doing in this office that is so regularly kind of disruptive for the team? But, it's like this chaos has been kind of, woven by him. And you think, is this the guy that you want in charge of bringing stability to it? And the last transfer window has essentially been a disaster, really. They spent 25 million on Luis Guilherme, who's made 4 substitute appearances. He's only 18, but that's a lot of money for someone who you can't trust to really get on the pitch now. Fulkrug was a weird one, given his age, and he cost £27 million.
You would have expected a better return for such a seasoned striker.
He's been unlucky to be injured, but it's a strange fit generally. Crescencio Somerville's been okay. Nothing more than that. Loaning out James Ward-Prowse was a strange move as well. It's just, I think they got to be looking at him as well.
Do you not think that West Ham have a history of kind of being quite streaky anyway, and a good run of games followed by undermining of the manager, followed by the resignation or firing of the manager? Do you not think that they've pulled the trigger now just because they thought they were worried that Graham Potter might go to Everton? Do you not just think that's why? I think
trying to do Graham Potter a service. Don't go there. We will quite literally change our matter. We're looking out for you, mate.
The thing is, we're like 8 days into the transfer window now, and Lopetegui's still there. So if that's wasted time, essentially, isn't it?
Well, I mean, there's even older Harry Redknapp, former West Ham manager, said this is just ridiculous. This is disrespectful, actually, to Lopetegui. Yeah. So if you're going to get rid of him, blooming well do it. Yeah. And also, as well, I mean, maybe there is the very sad news that Lopetegui is actually mourning the death of his father, so maybe that has influenced the decision or not. But I mean, bad news is never a good time to take, especially in light of those circumstances. So you do feel for Lopetegui as well, having to take a training session the other day when he knows he's a sitting duck. I mean, they cancelled the press conference this afternoon and so on. It all looks like he's going to go, and we thought he might go a couple of months ago.
Apparently, the deal has stalled with Potter because he wants of the length of the contract, apparently, which is again quite West Ham, I suppose. But I guess they don't want to time.
So clearly,
a big payout.
You would suggest that they're dragging their heels because of
Potter wants a 3-week contract.
The situation, with Potter, they want to get somebody in. I mean, there was also talk of them talking to Fonseca as well, and one or two others. But Potter, his name is being linked very, very heavily. Just if you're a West Ham fan, you're like, bloody hell! I thought, Moyes delivered them the trophy, had a platform to build on, and it looks like it's just back to square one.
Yeah.
And the idea of having just a bit of a write-off season is
especially
very
with some of the players they've got in there as well. They should be so much more fun, really.
Yeah.
All the building blocks are there for that. Potter might be an interesting one for them if he can get a sort of longer contract, right? I think he's presumably waiting out for a job that he can use as a bit of a project. I mean, he's turned down Ajax and AC Milan in the time he's essentially, been paid by Chelsea.
That's mind blowing because I remember the 90s.
It's mad, isn't it? Absolutely mad. But yeah, I think it could be a good fit because we all remember the football we played at Brighton. They were really, really attacking, and quite often the problem was that actually once it got to the final third, putting the ball in the net was a bit of a problem. So that, coupled with West Ham's kind of weird striker curse, might actually be a really frustrating combination. But in theory, he should make them more entertaining. Well, I think that's certainly they're going to finish higher than they would under this kind of nonsense.
Yeah, I think if they'd have gone for him after David Moyes, I'd have thought, you can see what they're doing there. But obviously that's not what happened. So I think Potter would be a potentially decent appointment for them. And I think with Potter, 49 now, it's that area, it's that time where he's had a few high-profile jobs. Obviously, it didn't happen at Chelsea, but you can forgive him. Pick your next job carefully, which is why I think that I couldn't see him going to Everton, presumably because Dyche, if he does last till the end of the season, which one or two people think he might not. I think he might. the job I think would be available come the summer. I think that would be a bad idea, even though they might have a few quid and there's a new stadium and all that kind of business.
He needs time though at West Ham, which
he does,
and he's got quite an ageing squad, and you worry that because of the pressures of being such a big club like West Ham, they won't have the chance to kind of. He'd almost be better kind of if you're going to resurrect some sort of proper A grade career. He'll be better off in like a yo-yo club, just to sort of understand that relegation isn't something to be particularly scared of. But it's just another dead rubber season for West Ham.
Love that. Relegation is nothing to be scared of.
Would Frank Champion agree with that?
I think he's fine. He was a Moyes-man. When Moyes came in, when I was doubting him, he says best thing that's happened to the club for ages.
Like the way
backlings,
the way things are sort of shuffling around. If Potter does end up at West Ham, might we see the glorious return of Davy Moyes at Everton?
There is chat.
Stability, leading them into a new stadium.
See, I thought to myself,
familiarity.
Yeah, I thought, bloody hell. I remember I was talking to mate who's an Everton fan, and he suggested this, and he said, that's what one or two people have been saying. And I thought, why on earth would he want that? Just take it easy, do a bit of media work, and when the Scotland job comes up, that's it, and then lovely old times, off you go. And I said, no, but if you think about it, the new stadium, they'd love him, have him back there,
He achieved a lot at West Ham. Moyes has got this ability, hasn't he, he's a funny manager in that he might just save you from relegation, or he might get you into Europe. There's not really any other manager like that that I can think of.
Yes, I know what you mean. A box-to-box midfielder who doesn't score many goals, doesn't really put in will
occasionally just fall over when there's a striker on him, but generally is solid.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Well, we shall see. But this coming in from today's news is quite an interesting one, turning our attentions to Marcus Rashford. The aforementioned AC Milan are considering making a move for him. It's been said that one of their senior advisors, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, you may have heard of him, is a big fan of Rashford from the time they played together at Manchester United. I looked at this, and the reports are that his brother, who's also his agent, and maybe one or two other representatives of Rashford, have gone and spoken to AC Milan. With
the Rash reps.
There you go. Exploratory talks.
Right.
And I thought, he's not going to usurp Rafael Leao on the left side of their attack, who's, to be honest with you, I'm surprised, I'd say a bigger club, a more financially, a richer club has not come in for Leao. But if you look at, again, on the other side, which Rashford wouldn't play on the right, Pulisic has been playing well, would he play through the middle? And you've got the little matter of his...
to be a nice to have, isn't it?
Yeah, and the wages, I mean, what is he on? 300 grand or something like that a week?
And the reports are higher than that, but God knows what's actually true.
Yeah, I just thought, as Pete says, I'd be surprised for that type of money if they went for him. There's talk of Dortmund, but Dortmund's highest earner is on 150, 160 grand a week.
And you've also got Gittins there as well, who's playing really, really well.
Yeah.
Although there is talk that Donny Mallet might be on the move as well, so possibly, again though, I think that would mean him playing on the right. There's Napoli, but you got Kvaratskhelia there as well. There's always
the Napoli one is because of the Osimhen.
Sure,
he would be a part of the trade-off.
There's always going to be someone. There's always going to be an incumbent, isn't there? But this is the thing, though. It's like it is. This challenge is for Rashford to go and establish himself somewhere else, and he shouldn't shirk away from that, I don't think, or shy away from that challenge.
Have you seen Rafael Leao in an AC Milan shirt? It's glorious.
Sometimes it is. I think he's actually quite inconsistent. I think.
Have you met Marcus Rashford?
Sure, yeah. This is what I'm talking about. This is his shop window, isn't it? This is his opportunity to go and find a kind of new environment and go, right, whatever noise is around me that's making me unfocused, that's not here, so I can sort of get on with playing football. And I think we're all ready for that, aren't we?
Jimmy, here's one for you. What about Arsenal?
I would not be happy about that.
Really?
No. No, there's a bit of split amongst Arsenal fans I know. Some would be really happy with him. He's inconsistent and he costs loads of money.
They've already got Sterling.
Yeah, exactly. Although he's not costing us loads of money.
No.
If you pay for it, I'll consider it.
Sterling's
also
on loan. I
think the Rashford thing is, like, obviously Manchester United will still have to foot a lot of those wages. It might even be as high as 60-65% of his existing pay packet. I think if they have the break, whatever happens, whether it's an obligation to buy or whatever, it needs to be clean. Because I think I've said this before, I really love Marcus Rashford playing for Manchester United as a Manchester United fan. Partly because of some of the stuff he's done, also because of the fact that he's local to the area and whatever. But
like yourself.
Yes, yeah. But there can be
unnecessary, Jim.
There can be no doubt whatsoever that Manchester United have been detrimental to whatever career progression he has, and he can take as much or as little fault in that as he wants. The truth will lie somewhere in the middle, but I'll be sad to see him go, but I really think he should go. It's like the last scene of...
but he said he's going to go.
No, sure, but like, it should have come sooner. It's like the last scene in Good Will Hunting, where throughout the film he says, you know, I don't want you to be here. This place is doing no good for you. I want to knock on your door and I don't want you to answer it.
Yeah.
And the film ends that way. We're kind of overdue now. We're fucking 4 hours into this film.
Yeah.
But it's come to a point now where this is just the best thing for him now.
And also, like, as a football fan, and as someone who really, really likes Marcus Rashford, I do want to go and see him thrive somewhere. You know, you want to see him playing, and you want to see him, you know, doing the Rashford things that he does. He's an electric player on his day. So I you know, Dortmund would be really interesting in particular, wouldn't it? So any one of those clubs we've mentioned would be fascinating.
Driving on the autobahn. Crashes a lot of cars.
Peter, what about Saudi Arabia?
Well, we could all go there. Can we go there? Can we go there? Can we go there?
I don't know that we'd get on
Let's
there.
talk.
Well,
We've been married for long enough. We don't kiss.
I do also
We don't
love.
kiss in public anymore, Jim. It's fine.
Yeah, and well,
Yeah, we got it.
Stump the host.
I was actually going to say, you know, on a Sunday morning I won't be able to go to church, so I'm not involved either. So there we are. Anyway, coming up after this, we've got the other Carabao Cup semi-final, and in Turkey, José Mourinho's at it again. Right, and tonight it's Tottenham Hotspur versus Liverpool. Liverpool will be favourites for this because they are a better team.
That's how it works.
Mm-hmm. But what you know, I've quoted Beefy Botham recently on this podcast, Vish, and I'm going to do it again. What are you thinking?
But you're quoting a tweet of his where he tweeted out a picture of his penis. That's not quoting him. I will not have that.
That is quoting him, isn't it, Jim?
Yeah.
I think you've been very prudish there.
Yeah. I didn't show you...
Don't seek out the photo. He shaved. He didn't know what he was doing. He looks appalling. Yeah.
It wasn't appalling.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Nothing for anyone.
Pigs in blankets. Right. Beefy in blankets.
Oh, God. This is how we're starting Spurs Liverpool, is it?
Yeah.
I can't turn
What were
back
you going to
time.
ask? What am I thinking for this game? I'm thinking Liverpool are going to win. I think even little things like the way the legs are.
We're back to Beefy.
Are set up. The fact that it doesn't, you know, it's not conducive to a Spurs win over two legs because they got to go to Anfield and do something there.
They can win this one, though, can't they?
They can win this one, yeah.
And
I think maybe
for his job, isn't he? So.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's just fighting, isn't he?
Yeah,
just fighting full stop.
Forgotten why.
Fighting
Yeah.
Just kind of roundhousing everywhere at the moment. To be fair, I think, you know, the previous results, because obviously Spurs lost against Newcastle, but they were pretty good in that game. Better than they've been. Yeah, certainly better than they've been recently. Obviously, Liverpool had a result they weren't expecting against Man United. If there's ever a time where you might think actually Spurs might cause a bit of a surprise here, surely it's now. I know obviously they've got players missing and stuff, but
if I was a Liverpool manager,
results,
I would be tanking this competition, to be honest.
If you were a Liverpool manager?
Yeah, if I were a Liverpool manager.
The proud history.
And that's why I'm not. And that's why I'm not a Liverpool manager.
the attempts, the first trophy available in a really, really good season.
For a new manager.
Duck out of this at the two-legged semi-final.
We've come this far. You've had your fun.
Yeah.
No, I think they've got their eyes on the prize, which is what, 150 grand? Is it? Is it up to
150 grand? Wow.
Have they? Is it that high now? I thought it was 100.
Carabao beer on offer.
I'm telling you, Liverpool. Nobody's talking about it, but I will.
The Carabuti.
The treble.
Quadruple, mate.
Quadruple.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Quadruple. As we all know that the League Cup is a gateway cup to other cups, to bigger and stronger cups. And I think that this would be it. However, they do have Spurs to beat, and Spurs have just triggered a 1-year contract extension for Son Heung-min, meaning he will not be out of contract in the summer. And Ange Postecoglou said of this, the main ambition is to make sure Son finishes his career here with some silverware. Well, they've got a chance, Peter.
They have got a chance. I mean, they did look a lot better when Son came on, but I think it was just because the crowd was a bit more excited because they had someone. I was at the match at the weekend, and they looked like a completely different team. But everyone just seemed to be having a nicer time when Son's on the field. They've got just a bit more output in it.
You see the South Korean flags get a little raised, don't you?
Oh yeah, wild. Yeah, I'd not been to Spurs for a little while. And I didn't realise it's the thing that people talk about. Massive sort of South Korean diaspora kind of popping in to watch matches.
Well, tourists as well.
Stuff, and tourists, and I was just like, wow, I'd never seen so many South Koreans.
I saw two Mexicans.
Well, sorry, I've been to South Korea.
You have.
I've clearly seen more
You
there.
have, yeah. A couple of Mexican flags at Fulham these days.
Nice.
Nice.
I like it.
Raul Jimenez. There was even a Danish flag for Joachim Andersen.
You've got your St George's down there as well, haven't you? So balances it out.
I have, but Scotland one as well because Tom Kearney's a couple of caps for Scotland. So I've got loads of flags, mate. Loads of flags. You
We
come
do
see me.
not doubt it.
Have you got half and half flag?
Scotland and England.
lovely.
It's called the Union Jack. I would like to see a little bit more from VAR.
Right,
tonight.
okay. Well,
Oh, yeah.
that was the big deal, wasn't
Didn't
it?
really
This
get
round?
that in the Emirates, did we? With Arsenal and Newcastle United.
Which
so,
is surprising, given those two.
They cancelled each other out.
It wasn't as tetchy as I expected it to be on that front, actually.
Shame.
Yeah. So for anyone who missed it on Monday, in this round of fixtures, if there is a VAR decision, the referee is going to announce it to the stadium.
Yeah.
So that's going to be loads of fun when
And
that
he's going to do it in the form of a haiku.
Is that what it is? Oh dear. Well,
Stephen Fry will be announcing that decision.
yeah. A couple of things, concerning things. With regards to Liverpool, the Anfield roof was leaking against Manchester United at the weekend. I don't know whether that's.
I love these proud institutions crumbling.
Well, I don't know whether.
For our very eyes, the real network, the NHS, Old Trafford, yes.
Royal Mail's been bought out.
You're obsessed with the Royal Mail buyout. Obsessed.
I've just mentioned it.
Bizarre. Who
about?
bought the Egyptians? I forget.
The Egyptians.
I can't remember.
Republic. Was it? Was it Chechen?
Chechians, right, okay,
Actually, I should clarify because there's another place with a similar sounding name. From what we used to call the Czech Republic,
Right,
is where
okay.
he's from.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Czechia. So a Czechian.
Yeah, they outbid the
Czechs.
Pharaohs, did they?
They should. Yeah.
Was Martin Dubravka involved somehow?
I don't think so.
Right.
Because obviously, previously Czechoslovakia. But
I mean, was there a Man United player on the roof? Just kind
this
of
is
like
what I think is a Man United
Yeah.
effect.
sabotaging it.
But but Liverpool, though, you said, talking about our great institutions crumbling, sometimes they need a bit of injection of cash. They need somebody to come along and save them. If the roof at Anfield is doing this and so on, then you do worry about Liverpool. Well, this all leads neatly on to the news that apparently Elon Musk's father, Errol, was saying that his son would love to buy Liverpool Football Club.
Right.
Who'd like to go first?
So Elon's dad, Errol, has said that Elon's grandmother was born in Liverpool. He said a lot of inflammatory nonsense that we shan't justify here by repeating it. He also claimed that they knew the Beatles. Which is great. It's like Graham Potter coming in claiming he knew the craze, isn't it?
Everyone in
on
Liverpool,
board.
everyone
I
in
think
Liverpool
it's one of
says they
those
knew
things,
the
isn't it?
Beatles.
So he's claiming a connection with the club, also claiming that kind of claiming that Elon is some sort of working class hero, sort of the Earth type, which I think we all know that's not what that family are taken from the Earth, and it's terrifying, isn't it? Because people are going to go, Liverpool fans would hate that, but it would be terrible for all of us because he'd be here constantly. He'd move them to London immediately. It would just be awful.
There would be riots. They're like, it just wouldn't happen.
He's
It
spread
wouldn't
too
happen.
thin, though. There's too many things that he has to sort of.
He's not, but the thing
about.
is, we should say though that goodness knows why anyone was chatting to Errol, but he just said, "Oh yeah, I'm sure my son would love to buy them." So there's no actual doings here. But
Yeah, it's just our political media doing their job by speaking to the father of a broadly irrelevant man.
And any actual attempt to do this would just be an attempt at gaining some soft power and just trying to be more relevant in the country. And let's hope that doesn't happen for the sake of everybody involved.
I think that sums it up beautifully.
I think it does. All just a big shame. Speaking of which, former Tottenham Hotspur manager José Mourinho has continued his war of words against the authorities in Turkey.
Speaking of a thumbed in bit of soft power,
I generally
Now,
thought
there's a combination you can see in the future.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yes, we know that Mourinho's been rather angry with the state of things in the Super League over in Turkey, and has said a couple of months ago, whenever it was, people said it was bad here, and people said, the forces were against Fenerbahce and all this kind of stuff. But I didn't realise it was this bad, and if I'd have realised it was this bad, I wouldn't have come here, kind of thing. So very strong words. He talked to the Turkish media after their victory against Hatayspor 2-1 at the weekend, and he claimed there should have been 5 red cards during the match. None for his own team, of course. 5. I don't think you can even get 5.
No, the match is abandoned at that point.
I think so, maybe. Well, he said to the journalist, if the opponent's colours were different, they could have been down to 8 players. Okay, so he's got his maths wrong, but fine. We know the toxic league we play in. Why are you hiding the truth? I know you were a journalist. I could be a journalist too, okay? But what are you afraid of? Is the point difference due to football played? Speak the truth. Don't ask me.
I could do your job.
Yeah.
Like within that little barb.
It's a bit muskish, isn't it?
It's tipped over to being a bit sinister and frightening now, isn't it? It's like when Ronaldo started to be a bit scary and a bit like Homelander.
I think he's sort of starting to slim down in the face as well, which makes him more scary, I think.
I remember...
He's looking more and more like that Turkish Olympic shooter, isn't he?
No, that's Ivan Juric.
Oh, yeah, he also looks like... Well,
they both kind of look a bit like him.
Yeah. We could recreate the scene at the end of Reservoir Dogs where they're all pointing guns at each other.
That's true.
Hands in their pockets.
Yeah.
Don't say what happens, though. Spoilers.
You're on a hat-trick for that today.
Yeah. I let the Good Will Hunting one go. Great film, though, if you haven't watched it.
Matt Damon turns out to be a ghost.
That's why he wasn't there when he knocked.
You see. I just don't want to see you anymore. Give me peace.
I floated out of
ghost.
I floated out of the letterbox because I'm a ghost.
Back to Jose Mourinho, annoyingly. I did think a couple of months ago when we were talking about him thinking is he angling for some move back to the Premier League.
West Ham would have been a move, wouldn't it?
Well,
He'd never pay the release, but...
I did think at the time...
Bail.
I thought, I thought to myself, I think I'll be up for one more dance with Jose. Then when you hear this stuff, I'm like, piss off.
But he's pandering to the crowd, isn't he?
He is,
like, it's the thing we highlighted at the very start of this tenure, that they are so full on with their football that he knows that he can get them going.
Has he got the pulse right? Has he got the kind of decisions right?
I think so. So it's interesting. Obviously, we're passing comment on it from afar, but there are probably people there who are lapping it up.
Well, they're also, 8 points off the top? And I think he's also floundering a bit. It's not gone the way he wanted on the pitch. So what does he do? He goes even more extreme with his words. There we are. Don't go extreme with your words, everybody, for crying out bloody loud. But do enjoy Spurs versus Liverpool tonight at 8 p.m. And let's hope we can hear the referee explaining some VAR decisions, because that's what we want in football. It's come to that.